Well,
hey,
we're back in Studio A at the Gay Boy Mansion.
Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. I know it's a Tuesday night, and I know it seems a little weird to be sitting here so early.
Yes.
But, you know, it's May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you. Yes. And if you're Catholic, and also with you. And listen, I have to fight that urge every time. May the 4th be with you, and also with you. We lift him up in our hearts. We lift him up to the Lord. It is right to give him thanks and praise. You know, they drill that Catholicism shit into you.
Oh, God.
So, you know, we're doing this today because tomorrow we're going to we're going out to a lower middle class establishment.
Exactly.
And
one of our favorites.
Well, we haven't tried it before, but I'm sure it's lovely.
Well, we're still going to build it up as our favorite.
Yes.
Just like, I mean, listen, you build it up as your favorite because it becomes your favorite, just like Specific Beauty. Specific Beauty.
That reminds me, I gotta get my get a sample to bring with me for, you know, for the product placement.
Well, yes.
Specific Beauty. So so we have to do that. And that's going to be fun and good time. So how was your week?
My week so far has been just friggin' dandy.
Mm-hmm.
Just dandy. This week is the last the final week of a program that
I gotta keep talking. I gotta get pillows to sit on because you know this is the low spot on the sofa. No. Okay, there's more pillows right there.
But this week is the last week of a 9-month program that some people that I have for work are completing. And so with this program, their completion, we asked them to do.
See, now look how much taller.
We asked them to do a survey, if you will, and we call it a reflection.
They was like, and that silver hair bitch, I don't like her.
Pretty much that's what they've said, and I'm okay with that. I am, because we, from day one, we explained to them the rigor of the program, what it entails. We've taken the time to do this very extensive handbook with instructions down to the font and the spacing. And these hoes have decided to not turn anything in until the midpoint, which is when we have to report to their supervisor. So during their mid-year review, it's like we have to get half of their deliverables. They turn in anywhere between 9 and 10 deliverables. They rush at the last minute to throw in 9 or 10 deliverables and their mid-year. So then when the last day comes for them to turn in their final deliverables, which would be the remaining 9 or so deliverables, they rush to turn that in,
of course,
because they want to graduate. Because if they can't finish, they don't graduate. Well, so now it's my problem to kind of go through all 120 plus people and their 19 deliverables each and go through all the shit they have. And you expect me to give you comments like, you know, this was a lovely piece of paper that you submitted. The writing style was everything. It is just amazing what you've done with this. Your experiences have just been great. I don't have time for that. That handbook that I spent all that time with in the beginning, where I told you specifically what I want, if you've hit all those points that have been outlined as an A, B, C, and bulleted 1, 2, 3, 4, thank you. Great job.
Don't they don't have like a time limit? Like, you know, the assignment is due on Tuesday. We'll give you a 1-week grace period. If it's not due then, you might as well not turn it in.
For what? Each deliverable?
Yeah.
The thing is, when you start the program, there are no due dates with the program because it is a self-service leadership program in the sense that you are given deliverables to turn in and you do them whenever you can. So if you're setting up interviews with people, there's no time frame that we can say when to turn your interview. There's no time frame when we tell you to do like a developmental assignment or a rotation or whatever the federal government agency would actually like to call it. So it's whenever you finish, but we give them a final we give them a midpoint and we give them the final deadline. So again,
so by the midpoint, it seems like they should have half of the stuff done.
Exactly, which is why I was saying they always rushing to turn in half their shit. So again, towards the end, they haven't done anything for 4 months. So now here's another 5 months that have just passed, and they want to turn all their stuff in, but then they're upset because I don't have any comments for them because it's not necessary. If you've done every single thing, 120.
And so you're supposed to do 1,200 assignments in like a week? Oh, girl, no, we're not.
So again,
I wouldn't even entertain it. I would just be like, no.
So my response is very much of good job, thank you, great. Good job, thank you, great. Because if you've hit all the, I don't have the time to go through that. Now, when there are gross errors of just, like I've had people that have submitted the wrong document. This is the entirely wrong document, or you've submitted a blank sheet, or you said this was 5 pages and only 3 of them have something written on it. What, so I kind of go through that. But, this part of that program, they get to talk about all that stuff. And I've had some of the probably harsher critiques because I try to be as transparent with them as I possibly can. And it's like, why am I bullshitting you? Right. Like, this is what we need. This is how you should do it. Why are you getting upset? This is what you didn't do. I am not a federal government employee. I get it that y'all have a way of a culture and you do things, but that's not what I do. That's not what I do. And I'm working on my emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to give people
not to cuss bitches out just on the jump.
A response versus a reaction.
Yes, because those are different things.
And I swear, today in the chat room, somebody said to me, "Hey, I can't get in on my other device into the room
after 9 months."
I can't get in on my second device into the other room. And I was like, okay, so what does that mean? She's like, well, I can't get into the other room on my other device. I'm having a problem getting in. So I'm sorry, let me make sure I understand this correctly. You're in the room, correct? She's like, yes. I was like, okay, that's what I'm concerned with. Because if you're not in the room, that's something else.
So,
but I
understand what that means.
No. I understand exactly what the fuck that means. What that means is your ass trying to get in your car and go wherever the fuck you want to go and do that.
Can't get that shit on your phone, and so you can't be partying and bullshit.
That's not my issue. My issue is you have access to this program and you are in. If you didn't have access, but when she said that to me, my face, I was on camera and I was like, you can't get in on your second device? And one of our instructors, who's a friend of mine, she text messaged me. She was like, your face. And I was like,
fix your face.
So again, I'm trying to work on a response versus a reaction. But so far, so good.
So what was your response?
My response was, again, I'm so sorry you can't get in on your other device, but you have access to the room that we're in, which is the class that you're supposed to be in. Your other device, I'm not sure why that's not working. If you had no access, that's a different story, but you have access. So I'll go ahead and place you in this other
Whenever
room.
I start a job or something, I always make sure, they'd be like, well, you can go ahead and set up your phone I always set up the email and stuff on the phone in the beginning and make sure, like this job I have now with Pepco, before we left that first day, when we started on November the 16th, I made sure that I had Teams and Outlook on my phone. Not because I thought I would be doing anything, but it's like I always
never know.
You just never know.
You never know.
You just have everything together. So it's never like a surprise because it's just like that. Shit will always fall apart at the last moment.
I've had power outages. I've had our internet go out. Mm-hmm. I've had my laptop just shut all the way down and I had to do it on my phone. I've also made runs to Dunkin' Donuts too and Bojangles. But again, I knew how to get into my phone.
Whole meetings naked in my bed.
Yeah, so that we're not even gonna talk about that because that's like from the waist up, I am flawless, but from the waist down, bitch, I am wearing lotion and that's it, bitch. What are you talking about?
We don't have to be on camera. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I only have to be on camera when I'm with the participants, and even then, on those days, I struggle. I have to be on camera. Okay, I guess I can't wear my robe. Okay, but But other than that, it's been a good week, and it's going to be even better week because these hoes are out of here. And I already told my boss, as I was explaining to you earlier, it has been a long 3 weeks actually, and I am feeling kind of ill, and I will not be in on Monday and or Tuesday.
My throat,
and I'll probably be on Wednesday because I can't be out more than 2 consecutive days and use my sick time. So I probably will show up on Wednesday and work half a day. Because once I work 4 hours, I get the full day. Then I'm out and I'll be out for Thursday and Friday. So that's how I'm going to do that. So, yeah. But, I'm not really feeling well. So that's my week. How was your week?
No. We're not done. I have been, living for your the story of your life. And all
50
of the
days,
goings
yeah.
on. Yeah, so it's
my journey to 50 days.
It's good to see, because you, like me, we're not like some of the kids where our whole entire lives are on Facebook. So even though I consider you a really good friend, there's lots of stuff I don't know about you, just like you don't know about me, mainly because it's like, girl,
it's not necessary
at this
moment.
My beans, my spilling the beans to everybody about my whole life. So it's good to hear about the forces that shaped you, and
there's still so much more
to come.
I'm
sure, with your little friends, your good buddy. I'm glad to see that y'all are still friends.
Yeah, today. it's so, and for those of you that may not have caught up, I'm doing this an epic 50 days to 50 journey, and I mentioned my high school best friend. His name is Keenan. And like I was saying on my Facebook post, like we are opposite in a whole different ways. He's like 6'2", I was like 5'10", and I just felt like the short, fat kid. He was the tall, skinny kid. We just always had opposite ends of the spectrum. He was very every guy's guy, and then I was very much of like, it's a little too hot outside for me. But we just kind of made it work, and we were always just friends. It never anything sexual or anything. We just are good friends. And I was saying on my post that he was the first person that I came out to. And he like I said, he made this comment. If for many of you that may have seen X2, where Bobby goes home and comes out to his parents that he's a mutant, and I think it's his mom or his brother that's like, "Well, can't you just not be a mutant?"
Right?
And he literally said that to me, and I was like, "What?" So, but through the years, he's got married, he has a kid, and he's also had, I'm telling all of his business. And if he's watching, it's from a place of love. But he had not a scare, but he literally had someone that to tell him that this was his child, to later find out 2 years later that it wasn't his child. So when he finally got married and he had his first child, I was like, I'm over the moon for him. And
I can't even imagine, because I will beat somebody ass.
And oddly enough,
now, was it a mistake or was this girl pulling a stunt?
So the story was, the guy that she was messing with, they looked alike.
Okay.
And when he showed me a picture of the baby, I said, "Oh my God, this baby looks like." I was like, "This is your son. Like, this is your." I mean, it was a little girl. And I was like, "This is your daughter." And he was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Okay." So it was amazing. But when I saw a picture of the guy, I was like, "Oh, y'all look alike."
Yeah.
I see how this happened. But it was devastating for him.
Yeah.
And it was,
especially if you want to be a parent.
Yeah, like he is that. All of our lives are different, and we all have forces that shape our lives. And he lost his mother very early on and was raised by his grandparents, his grandmother specifically. Family is very important to him, so that was like it's a legacy for him, and he's close with his siblings and his nieces and all that stuff, and so it was really important to him. So now that he has his son, who is growing up to be just as tall as he is, and it's like you have this. As my friend Erin say, she would say, "My mom and I look just alike. It's just light-skinned Erin versus Erin." So it's like light-skinned Keenan versus
right.
But I'm happy for him. But anyway, he just texted me out of the blue last week, and we were talking. One of my favorite songs by Prince is "The Ballad of Dorothy Parker," and so at the end where he does "This is the ballad of Dorothy," so that little sweet, he texted me out of the blue and was like, I was listening to this song today, and he said, "I just laughed because neither one of us can still hit that damn note and kind of carry it out." And I was like, well, I mean, at the time I could, but
right.
But it was cute, and I miss him, and I adore him, and I love him, and he always will have a place in my life. We don't talk that often, but when we do, it's very substantial. He shows up at the right time. Like, his grandmother passed, I was there. My sister passed, he was there. Like, we bumped into each other. Only thing I didn't do that I kind of regret not being able to do was he had a destination wedding, and I kind of felt bad that I didn't make it to the wedding.
Where was it?
It was Jamaica at the time, but at the time I wasn't able to financially swing it. It was kind of like 2 weeks later, because we hadn't had contact with one another. 2 weeks later, he's like, "I'm getting married and I'm going to Jamaica," and I was like,
You can't just swing a destination on someone.
I was like, "Have fun.
In 2 weeks, I'm going to Jamaica."
But the pictures and all that stuff, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I met his wife. I think she's a sweetheart. And it's funny because people in our lives that are important we know people in my life that are important to me know about Keenan, and people in his life that are important to him know about me. So it's like, oh, I know who you are. I've heard him say your name before. And I've referred to him several times. It may not have said his name, but I've referred to him several times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my road dog. And but yeah, he was my first ally. So I'm remembering things as I'm going through photo albums and stories are popping up. And it's amazing the stuff that you forget. And I'm kind of glad I'm documenting this.
Yeah.
Because it's stuff that I don't want to forget or stuff that's very important to me. Yeah. So but I'm gonna just say this last piece. So I gotta tell you, I think I told you the story about when I stole my mom's car and the next door neighbor.
Yes.
I did tell you that. Okay. What I didn't tell y'all was that my next door neighbor was my mom's good Judy. And she had been out drinking. And so she was partying. So when she came home and pulled her car into the parking space where our mother's car was parked, and I had to knock on her door, and I was like,
right,
Lori.
because your car, your mother's car should have been there. And she'd be like, why is my car not in my space?
And Miss Lori read me the right. She was like, So what you're saying is you've been driving your mother's car and ain't got no license. and she is drunk as hell. She said, I'm gonna move it this time. She said, but if you do it one more time, I'm gonna tell your mother about this time and the next time. And I was like, no, I won't do that. Meanwhile, I'm almost pissing on myself, but it's a funny story. But again, I forgot about that just that quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been interesting, and I'm trying to wait to talk about my mom because it's a lot of stuff to process. I'm just trying to make it factual.
Yeah.
But but it's been good so far. So, but like I said, other than that, it was a good week. What about you though? How was your week? The work. It
was a weeky week. I mean, generally my weeks aren't super exciting, and the weekend was fine. I took some video over the weekend.
Yeah, I saw a posting, and I was like, the artistry of the dangle and the drip. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh
yes. So I just gotta call the video. It's like 10 minutes of video that and you can't post but 2 minutes and 10 seconds on Twitter, so I didn't have to break it down into segments for what I want. I mean, I did complete more of the reorganization of the Gay Boy Mansion, so the dungeon now lives in a specific
I need y'all
corner.
to talk about this rising desk that he posted on Facebook. Like, listen.
Well, listen, you gotta be prepared.
Oh, listen, listen, my little desk that I ordered off of Amazon that folds out and the top popped on it, it works fine for me in my room. But again, in a space that is larger, that's mine, that I will a whole different story. And I get it. So it's your Gay Boy Mansion, and it needs to be as comfortable as you fucking need it to be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it's cool. So decided we're gonna do a little something for Memorial Day. We already talked about that.
Yes.
And that's about it. So,
okay.
So we're gonna try to get back to a little partying and bullshitting this summer. A little bit,
just a little. bit.
Not quite, because some of the girls are ready to like bust it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still wearing a mask because I don't know you girls like that.
In fact. I just got a text message from someone that was like, yeah, I'm back. I was like, that's not what that means. You might want to hold off and wait.
Right.
Like just a little bit. So right. I don't know. Hey, Cortez.
Yes, we would love to come to we will come to San Francisco. Probably not this year, but next year, definitely.
Probably. Hey, little bro. Hey, Tyra. Hey, Eccentric.
Exactly. The desk is giving what it should have gave.
Well, yes, that it is.
I did not waste my money on that desk.
Purr.
All right, well, let's dig into it. So apparently you can, we're bringing back the Stunt Queen.
So yeah, we have a nomination for Stunt Queen this week. And listen, I'm
actually jealous.
Yeah,
and envious of this.
I would also appreciate if you all hear about some other stunt. Oh, I'm sorry.
Testing.
It is a duo.
Testing.
My mic sounds nice. Check 1. My mic sounds nice.
Check 2.
My mic sounds nice. Check 3. Are you ready
to rock, y'all? To the beat, y'all. Keep going and you don't stop. Rocking on. I keep rocking
on.
on. I'm the queen on the mic and I'm doing the thing. And watermelon. But yeah, so whew. Yeah, so there's several people. So this one in Taiwan, where companies are required to give newlyweds 8 days of paid leave, an unnamed bank employee in Taipei used a loophole in the law to claim 32 days of leave over 37 days last year, reportedly. The man and his wife got married 4 times and divorced 3 times, claiming 8 days of leave for each wedding. The bank complained to the city labor department, which sided with the employee and fined the bank about $670 for violating the regulations, sparking public criticism. The labor department later revoked the fine to recognize and improve a mistake. So, stunt queen number 2.
Stunt queen number 2. Listen, an unnamed civil servant in Italy is accused of collecting full pay at his job at Chiaco Hospital in Catanzaro since 2005, even though he never showed up for work. The man is also accused of threatening his supervisor if she filed a report against him. She later retired, and none of her successors noticed his absence. The BBC reports authorities discovered the alleged fraud as part of a wider investigation into absenteeism in Italy's public sector, and 6 managers at the hospital are also under investigation. The truant worker reportedly collected about $650,000 over the years. So from 2005 to 2021,
I need to figure out how he did that.
You've been gone and you done made $650,000 in extra income. Because I'm just gonna make the assumption that you had some other job somewhere. Because I'm just saying, you had some other job somewhere and you got another paycheck coming in.
Yeah, so
like that's what I'm gonna make that assumption. So, but you've been living well. You've been living well.
And so listen,
Yeah, I could listen.
So both of these, listen, you get married and divorced, ain't nothing saying. You get married, you like, this ain't gonna work. And then you're like, well, maybe it will. Well, maybe it won't. Well, maybe it will. Well, maybe it won't. Listen, do what you gotta do. I'm not mad at it.
All I know is they definitely have these are the nominees for Stunt Queen.
I think it's a co-award this week.
Of the week. And I think I am fine with awarding the first co-award, a Stunt Queen co-award this week.
So there is some really sad news. There was a guy.
Well, let's start the. You want to talk?
Who's going to do all of the Pose stuff?
Yeah, I was going to say let's talk about the good news. The good news is that Pose is back.
Yeah, but we're not going to get on.
No. It's back. So I just want to put that out there. It's back. If you haven't seen it, this is your spoiler alert now. You know, we're going to talk about it. We're going to go into detail.
Yes.
But I'm just letting y'all know right now. So in case y'all haven't heard or you haven't seen it.
Starting around 8:50.
We're going to start talking. So I'm just letting y'all know. Okay.
So this is really sad and really tragic. So a young man from Toulouse, Latvia died on Wednesday, April the 28th, from burns that nearly covered his entire body after a disgruntled neighbor allegedly doused him with flammable liquid. 29-year-old Normans Kinzulis. He was a 29-year-old medical assistant, suffered burns on 85% of his body on the 23rd of April after a scuffle allegedly broke out in the apartment complex where he lived. His clothes having been soaked with fuel, and he was lit on fire in what advocates are urging the police to consider a homophobic hate crime. Another gay man suffered burns as he desperately sought to save Kondulis's life as he was engulfed in a fire that razed the building. So this man, they burned down the whole apartment complex to do this. He was rushed to Riga, the capital of Latvia, for treatment. In a tragic turn, according to Euroactive, which is a gay pride organization in Europe, local police initially refused to open an investigation, but Kondulis's death has brought an urgent need to do so. He had received homophobic death threats in the past and had fled to Toulouse, which is 70 kilometers from Riga, where he was from. But he was met with the same violence, and he was physically assaulted at least 4 times. The second victim, the guy that was burned trying to save him, said the pair had reported to authorities how the neighbors treated them and jeered at them in the 5-story building where they lived. said they reported the threats both to the police and to the neighbor's workplace, but there was no reaction. We have to wait for someone to be mutilated or killed.
And unfortunately, that young man is gone.
Yeah,
he is absolutely gone. And it brings to light that Latvia, being a European member of the state, has long resisted recognizing LGBT plus people. And then the parliament, the Saima, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, overwhelmingly voted to tweak the constitution to define the family strictly as a union of male and female person earlier this year. So activists across the world pay tribute to Kinzulis, which to so many not only signaled the depth of anger felt towards queer folk in Latvia, but the very need for pride and the LGBT plus rights movement itself. So our sisters and brethren in Latvia and around the world, my heart goes out because it's got to get better. It's just got to get better. This is just very sad.
In more bullshit. So Caitlyn Jenner says, if you're a biological boy, you shouldn't be in girls' sports.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Ma'am, I am not here to misgender you.
Miss Ma'am.
However, you of all people should know what it's like to feel like you are not in the right body. You are a fucking Olympic athlete.
Come on.
There has to be there were, until you said this bullshit. There has to be young trans women who are participating in sports looking up to you and saying, I can be an athlete and I can have everything just like Caitlyn Jenner does, only for you to stab them, not in the back. This is a stab in the fucking face.
In the fucking throat.
Oh my God. I can't even. Oh my God. This is, I called her on Facebook. I referred to her as the trans Auntie Ruckus. Trying to make light of it, but this really isn't funny. I mean, I was like, bitch. So here's what I want to know.
Will you stand up when they talk about this Olympic event that you actually won medals in and they call you by your dead name? Will you stand up for that?
Right.
Caitlyn?
Well, she probably has no problem with that because when you're rich, that kind of shit don't bother you.
Okay. All right.
When you go to the golf tournament, do you play on the LGPA or do you play the PGA? Because according to this, your ass should be playing with all the other men.
PGA it is, man.
Because you were born a man. And again, I'm not here to misgender people.
Not at all.
But these are her words.
We have just had this conversation with her because about her running for a governor's seat. And I just don't understand. You are a trans woman who is running with the thoughts of a cisgendered, staunch Republican male. It doesn't make sense. Like, make it make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me.
You could, even if she had all of the other opinions that she had, but she's like, on this one, I know what it's like to be trans and, want to participate in sports. But she's denying, and we're going to talk about a young Bruce. She's denying the feelings of a young Bruce. She's denying the feelings of her own self at a younger age.
And they were very real. She talked about them on the show several times. And in there was a couple interviews that she did right before she came out
with Diane Sawyer and all this stuff. Exactly, eccentric. She was never fully vested. All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Child,
everybody who is going through a transition, who was transitioned, ain't an ally, ain't somebody that you can rely on. Just like I learned about, and you probably did around 20, 25 years ago. Listen, everybody that like to suck dick, that don't mean we had nothing else in common. That is not a community to build. I've even come to discover that everybody that like leather, girl, that's not even necessarily enough of a community to build. It's because you have some of the same common experiences don't mean we got nothing in common.
You have to pick and choose what's important to you. You have to pick and choose who is important to you. You have to pick and choose how shit is important to you.
Yes.
It just doesn't work.
It just floored me because I knew that she was a bitch. I knew this was some bullshit. I knew it was going to be some bullshit, but I honestly thought that at least on this one issue that she would have been like, because that's some shit that she literally went through. So, and she literally spent her whole life. She's literally spent the majority of her life in the closet as a closeted trans person trying to develop the courage to come out and then to literally look at all of these young trans girls, particularly because I'm going to stick with the trans women, not just the trans boys. Notice no one gives a shit about the trans boys because they think, oh, well, they still think of them as women. So you are at a disadvantage to all of the boys that you play with. But okay, you are spitting in the eye of every person who is where you used to be.
Eccentric brought up a good point about keeping in mind that she pushed for the Orange Menace, then felt duped once they started attacking trans people about restrooms. And she cried a river about that. And it was like, really? But this is what you knew this when you were backing this man, when you're pushing him into this particular position. You knew this about him. And if you didn't know it, you knew enough about him as far as where he came from and what he said that you could have. Yeah, it was definitely like 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = what? Like you could figure that out.
7.
That's pretty much what she is,
right?
Like that, because it doesn't compute for her.
Yeah, so fuck her. At first I was, for like a hot minute, I was like, oh, could Caitlyn Jenner become governor of California? After this statement, there's no way that she could ever get close to becoming the governor.
I don't even
Will the governor of California be recalled? Possibly, but it ain't gonna be her.
Yeah, I don't even live in California, but I'm telling you right now, you will not get my support.
Right?
No vote nor nothing. Tyra, we're not talking about tidy whities right now.
Girl, I would listen. To quote Nene Leakes, I couldn't remember her name. I saw her face, but I couldn't think of her name. I would not spit on her if she was on fire. All right, so Joe Biden. Speaking of which, did you see that picture of Joe and Jill Biden with the Carters? I was like, why do they look like little dolls?
Wait, so that's what it was. I couldn't figure out who the hell they were. I was like, oh my God.
To look at it, I was like, is that Jimmy and Rosalind Carter?
I was like, why do they look so itty bitty tiny? They look like little tiny little mannequins, little.
I mean, I know that you hunch over a little bit, but like sitting next to, so he was like on one knee next to Rosalind Carter, and she literally looked like a doll. Like Joe Biden looked like this huge, and Joe Biden is only 5'10". I mean, it's not like he's I
thought he was taller than that.
No, whatever I saw said he's like 5'10".
Okay,
so he's not. He's right. He's no like huge, gargantuan man like Donald Trump is like 6'3". You would thought he was like a little thing.
Yeah, you think he's short and round?
Yeah, but he's quite tall, and his son is like a Sasquatch. His son is like 6'7". But fuck them. Anyway, so Joe Biden gave his first address to Congress.
Listen, the issue for me is that it's all about the visuals for me. And Joe Biden, picture it. Joe Biden
or Congress,
Washington D.C. 2021.
Behind Washington.
What did I say?
You said Washington.
Did I? Yeah. Okay, that's a Philly in me.
I know it's fine. I'm fucking with you.
Washington D.C. Over his left shoulder is Nancy Pelosi. Over his right shoulder is Kamala Harris.
Motherfucking Harris.
This has never ever happened where the president of the United States addresses a joint session of Congress and starts it off and says, Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President.
Yes.
No president has ever said those words from this podium. No president has ever said those words, and it's about time.
Yes.
Joe Biden, look, Uncle Joe, I'm here for it. I'm just here for it.
He, and again, I don't worship him.
No.
So, like, I could call about, like, when they initially said that they were going to keep the same limits on
he is flawed.
Coming
he is absolutely flawed.
And they're still building parts of this wall and stuff. So, but I never expected him to be.
But here's the thing. In his first 100 days, that man, that team, this administration has hit the ground running and has not stopped.
They've literally done more in this 100 days than the previous administration accomplished in 4 years.
So for that alone, if he, for some strange reason, he stopped doing work at this particular point, he already is in the good.
Yeah.
He's already in the good. He's already surpassed what the last administration has done.
Between the executive orders that he signed and just the general tone, because when he said 100 million vaccines in the first 100 days, I was like, that's 1 million doses a day. I was like, that's very ambitious.
And listen, he shot for the stars and he wound up hanging out with the moon.
But see, that's what you got to do, though. Like even with Onyx, and this as a president, this as a leader general. If you say we're only going to shoot for 100,000 doses, then you'll only get 75. If you shoot for 1 million and you get 750,000, that's great. And so it is amazing that he actually did get it, but you have to aim high and you have to put the resources of the government. When I was younger, I used to believe that there was a place for conservatism. Because there are some people who just would spend money from the federal government just like it's an empty thing. And I'm just like, no, you have to have some people that are like, well, wait a minute. You can't spend every dollar. But that's not what conservatism is about now. It's not about saying, let's be fiscally responsible about our dollars. It's about pushing back against anything that is anti-white and anti-male. That is what conservative is now.
Can we listen? Say it again so the people in the back can hear you.
Conservatism is no longer about fiscal responsibility. It's about anything that is fighting against anything that is perceived to be anti-white or anti-male. Perfect example. Under conservative administrations, they have pushed through these tax cuts that have ended up driving up the deficit and doing other things. And so then they would say, well, Democratic administrations or liberal administrations have pushed through, other spending bills that have driven up the deficit, but it's a cost benefit ratio.
Mm-hmm.
If you drive up the deficit, but people's wages are driven up, or people now have health insurance, that helps the country as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Tax cut to the wealthiest 1% doesn't do anything because if you do your history, and the kids today don't learn history. Your former president, Ronald Wilson Reagan, brought in this theory called Trickle-Down Economics. That sounds good on its face. It really does. It says that if I, as a multimillionaire, am made as free as possible to make as much money as I can, that I will then trickle that money down through the economy. So if my corporation, if Dominion Incorporated is free to make money, then I will order more goods and services. Those more goods and services employ more people that make all of those goods and services, which then trickles down even further because now the people that make those goods and services can go on restaurants, can go on cruises, can do all sorts of stuff. But that is not what happened, and that is never what happens. What happens is when you give the richest, you and I, if we won $1 million today, we would trickle it down. We would say, you would say off of the top, I'm going to give $500 5% to the Kappa Alpha Psi Foundation. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give to my church. I'm going to buy my granny's house outright. I'm going to trickle it down throughout the neighborhood. That same $1 million to a person who was wealthy, they're going to put that somewhere to make money. They're not going to trickle that money down. So this whole bullshit about trickle-down economics is crap. And I'm sorry I got on this long-ass rant.
But the other part of that is, and let me stop talking to this mic. The other part of that,
it's addictive. Though,
yeah, it's like, okay. The other part of that, again, you're talking about trickle-down economics. There has to be someone that is holding all the marbles, holding all the goods, controlling everything underneath them. Even if you look at it from that standpoint, it is not good. It is, right. We are still in, it's a slavery system.
Yes.
So listen, Ronald Reagan as a president, whether he was good, bad, or indifferent to whoever.
He was bad, by the way.
He was a president, so I'll give him that much respect. As saying he held the title. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Because that's it.
Because crack epidemic, because AIDS.
Oh, absolutely. And I even, as much as I refuse to even say that man's name, 45, listen, while I will try to forget that he was, unfortunately, he actually was in the office. That's what I will give him. He did absolutely nothing for anybody, as far as I'm concerned.
His family.
He was in the office. I'll give him that. That's all I got. That's all I got for you.
So anyway, so Joe Biden. So joint session of Congress, blah, blah, blah. There was
that was it. Yeah.
His speech focused on the administration's accomplishments thus far and unveiled key components of his next legislative push. America's on the move again. And that's what he's doing. He is using the power of the federal government to make Americans' lives better. He hasn't gone so far as to forgive all student loan debt.
But baby, the fact that the conversation is on the table.
The conversation is on the table. He also talked about significantly increasing Pell Grants and other types of
Pell Grants are fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that you don't have to pay back.
Yeah.
He also is proposing making 4 years of college free for everyone. Now, also kids, let's just be clear. You're not getting into Harvard.
No, you're still going to be an admissions process.
State and local institutions
of higher learning.
And you still have to qualify.
Yes.
It's just saying that once you get into the school and you maintain your grades, you don't have to worry about paying for your tuition, because there's a lot of people, myself included, I had a full scholarship and I fucked around and screwed that all up. And
I mean, it just kind of happened, but
and so then I ended up going to school part-time because I had to, I was like work a semester and then go to school a semester, so
listen,
to not have that burden on my mind is great. And then to graduate and not have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And this is where,
the average student,
go ahead, please.
When I worked at AU,
that's a ritzy school. So,
when I was there, it was $56,000.
Yeah.
$56,000.
I'm sorry for eating, but I haven't eaten
2000
all day, so.
And this was 2015. It was $56,000. Now it's over $60,000. The average indebtedness of a AU student coming out was $80,000.
Yeah.
For undergrad, not undergrad and graduate, undergrad, $80,000. Do you understand what that means for me as a University of Pittsburgh graduate, as someone that went to a state school? My tuition for the year, I think when I first started, it was like $5,700. And then by the time I graduated, it might've been $7,500, something like that. Mm-hmm. It was less than $10,000. Unbelievable. Like unbelievable. Now, I fucked around. And did all the shit that I did and wound up graduating with some loans, even though my mom was trying to make me not graduate with loans. But listen, I had clothes to buy. I had refunds to get. I had trips to take. And I paid for that shit.
Right. There you go.
I literally paid for that shit. Then and now, I paid for that shit. But thinking back and listening to our parents, which most people never do. Now, I'm not saying that if you're good or bad if you do or you don't, but again, most people just don't because you're trying to figure this thing out called life on your own. You fuck around and you just do some of the stupidest shit. If I wish I would have never taken out those loans, never, because I didn't have to. I literally didn't have to.
I wish I would have never taken out any credit cards.
We're not gonna talk about that because yeah, and that's another story.
You hear people of a certain generation talking about, well, why did you go to schools that are so expensive? It's like, well, college tuition, the cost of college tuition has gone up significantly faster than inflation in the past 30 years, while wages have not kept up with inflation. At all. So in 1970, blah, 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 you could have gone to school and worked at McDonald's and paid your way through a fairly decent state school.
Yep.
Now, McDonald's don't even pay enough for you. They don't even
McDonald's scholarship is not even enough to pay your tuition.
Right. So there's no way that you can go to school full time and work full time at the kind of jobs that a person in their late teens, early 20s could get in order to fully pay for school in the way that you used to be able to. I mean, some people can't even do it when they're living with their parents. And this is at state schools. We ain't even talking about private institutions like AU.
But then, it's so funny. When I think about that, did you have this speech when you first started as a freshman? Look to your left, look to your right.
Mm-hmm.
Half of them will not be there by the time you graduate.
Child, a quarter of them one day at the end of the first year.
And I was saying, baby, after that first semester, people were dropping like flies. They were just not there for financial reasons and everything else. Like things were just happening. It was just amazing. But, it's.
But yeah, so I am pleased that, the president is working towards some of that agenda. He's not doing everything that I want him to do. And hopefully he'll get deeper into that. Now, let's see. Is there anything else to talk about before we get to pose?
So did you actually get a chance to watch Mortal Kombat yet?
No.
Okay. Black Lady Sketch Show. We're going to talk about that.
But wait. I didn't find most of this episode funny at all.
I didn't either. And again, Black Lady Sketch Show season 2 is out. We've been watching it. We're trying to watch it. I am not getting the end of the world skit. That does not.
It was funny to
work
me the
for
first
me.
Season, the second season, I'm like, what is going on here?
And then on top of that, you changed the cast.
The first
changed.
Season, it was all a dream. Or
I don't know. It's not making sense to me. And then when the cast changed and you have the two new people, I was just like, well, what?
So whose house are they in? Oh, they're in a
warehouse now. Okay. Yes, they're in a warehouse.
So was the whole first season like that was the light-skinned Robin, who was like the creator of the show. So that whole first season of the sketch when it was the end of the world. It is the end of the world, but that whole first season in the house was Robin's dream, apparently.
Is that you've thought about it too much because it just for me, it just wasn't even fun. Like it's the first season, I kind of got it and I kind of chuckled a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I'm still like,
why are you funny, but it was an interesting through line.
Yeah, but you're dragging it on now. And it's kind of like, well, that joke ended last season. So can we do something else?
I didn't think that it ended. I liked the fact that they knocked on the door at the end of last season. I was like, oh, so maybe they aren't the last people. And I thought what would have been funny is if it had been like, these bitches are so high.
Right. I could work with that.
It was it was like an earthquake or something.
I could work
and
with
they thought it was like the end of the fucking world. And it's been like 5 hours. And people are like,
girl, y'all all right?
Where have y'all been?
Y'all all right? Y'all, we've been knocking. But right. I don't know. I'm not really, I can't.
Yeah,
Mike, I mean, if you like it, Mike, I listen, I think that's great.
So I just hope it was just a low point because I didn't really care for that. I do need to watch Mortal Kombat, and day after tomorrow, today is Tuesday, the 4th, on the 6th, Legendary comes back. So we are ready for that.
We are ready for that.
More than ready.
Ready for that.
So, Drag Race is over, but the drama of Drag Race has not. Are you guys familiar with the bullshit around Tamisha Iman and Monet Exchange? So, all right. So here's what had happened. Bob and Tamisha are friends, and apparently Bob wrote her verse on that little bullshit video that she did.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
Okay. but they're good friends. And you know, Bob and Monet have a show called Sibling Rivalry, which is very funny.
They're fucking hilarious together.
Like they were talking about something about Joey J. She was like, Joey J. And I was like, it's Bob said something about Joey J possibly fucking Candy, and Monet was like, Bob, I mean, she was like, Joey J gives very bottom energy. And I was like, well, he does. I cannot see Joey J climbing on nobody back.
But can we just for a moment talk about Candy and Rose in the finale and how it was getting very like lesbian kai tease? I was like,
that. But that's not my affair. If it makes them
happy. If they're happy, I'm.
But anyway, so throughout the season, this season, as whenever Tamisha would come up, Bob would always be very effusive in his praise because I mean they're good friends.
They're friends, so yeah.
And so they made up this thing where it was like point counterpoint. And it was specifically like almost like a skit. It was like if Bob says something good, then Monet has to say something bad.
Okay.
But it was in like a joking way. It was not shady. I mean, it was shady, but it was like drag queen funny shady. Yeah. It was not meant to be like a personal attack.
Yeah, because you have first of all, you have a platform that if you really wanted to personally attack somebody on a major platform like that, you have all the resources at your fingertips. You really could launch a full out war on somebody. But wow.
And so Tamisha has taken all of the stuff that Monet said personally, and on, I guess it was April the 1st. No, it was May the 1st. It was a couple of days ago. She posted this long 16-minute ass video where she was talking about all of the shit that Monet had said and how she was going to debut her shows. I didn't even know she had a show, but apparently she does.
She does. She has. In fact, we had a couple of local people. Jay Cruz was actually on it as well, competing in it.
Oh, okay. So yes. So anyway, so she had her live premiere today, and I watched like 2 or 3 minutes of it. And here's what I'll say. And I said this about Tamisha before. When gays get of a certain age, right, they like to start thinking of themselves as old people in a good way. And you sometimes fall into the trap of talking down to people. You saw that on the show where she kept calling Candy a little girl. And that would piss me off if I was Candy's age and some old bitch kept calling me little girl, because it's very dismissive. You can make your point and say that Candy was arrogant or whatever it was, but calling someone arrogant may or may not be a fact. I mean, it's all subjective, but it's dismissive and rude to continually refer to people as little girl or in these dismissive sort of infantilizing kind of ways.
I get it.
And she kept doing the same thing, at least in a little bit that I watched today.
Right.
When she was talking about this shit. Well, she was really saying it was a lot of it was the fans. And so I was like, well, if it's the fans clapping back, and because what she is saying is she don't want to be like some of these other girls. She don't want to be like, what was the black girl? Not Monica Beverly Hills.
Give me something.
Give me something. One of the black girls that, remember, they were all like piled up on her. And like, was it Vivian?
Vivian Panay?
No. But anyway, the point is,
you gotta give me something more.
Some of the black queens, particularly, but some of the white queens too, have felt beat up by some of the fans or whatever. And so they took the jokey joke that, Bob and Monet were doing and maybe turned it into something personal.
Okay. And
Tamisha has actually blocked Monet on Instagram. And I was like, girl, there's all of that.
It's not really.
It was just like a kiki online. And if you really want to clap back, then have your own little show and do the same thing. But it just makes her seem
Worthington.
I think that's my best friend.
Hey.
So I'm interested to see what will come with that, because Monet is basically like, okay, girl, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Monet is giving you, bitch, you can bring it if you want to bring it.
Just be ready to receive what you're gonna get. So I get that, but I also, like I said this before, I think Tamisha is making more out of this than what it actually is.
A lot more, and it's ultimately going to
fuck up her brand. It's like Tamisha. So if any of you that are aware of the drag circuit and the competitions and all that stuff, Tamisha Iman is a fucking brand in and of it herself.
Mm-hmm.
Her house, her legacy, her dynasty, as she's even referred to, it is exactly that. There are so many Imans that are part of that Tamisha Iman family.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many titles that she's won. I don't know if she's won Continental. I'm pretty sure she's ran for several times, but I don't know if she's actually held the title. But again, she is, in comparison to drag on television, like RuPaul is that girl as far as drag on television. Tamisha Iman is like one of the, if not that girl, she's one of those girls that is.
It is unfortunate that
drag
she
and
had
pageants.
these health challenges,
and it is.
Didn't go further.
It was very unfortunate. But the problem is you've made a brand for yourself. You made a name for yourself that is amazing, and now you're getting mixed up in this nonsensical BS that I think is ultimately going to hurt your brand.
It's if ever there was a case for being above it,
she needs to be way above it.
Right, because people talk shit about Rue all the time.
Way above
you ever see Rue be like, I'm going to get back and clap back at Carmen Carrera because of some shit that she said no.
You know how she gets back? She goes up on that stage and she picks up her Emmys.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That's what it is.
And you're making it hard. I mean, if you're making it harder for them to want to cast you on All Stars.
I don't really think she was concerned about going back to All Stars.
Basically, not because you're burning those bridges with these other kids, you're never going to compete against Monet because Monet is an All-Star.
She won, so that's never going to happen.
All right. So now, time to get into Pose. So first, let's talk about Janet Mock going off.
Girl.
So last Thursday, they had a premiere party for the third and final season. So during her 15-minute speech, Janet Mock complained about how much the network was paying her, demanded better treatment for the trans community, shouted "fuck Hollywood," revealed that she'd slept with someone in the show's crew, and asked her Pose actor boyfriend not to leave her over the infidelity. She decried the quality of writing on the show and had a brief conversation with Ryan Murphy from the stage. She wondered aloud why she was only making $40,000 an episode, and she said, "I am angry, demanding more money and perks equal to other TV executives." The room fell completely silent as she shouted, "Fuck Hollywood. Does this make you uncomfortable? It should. It should make you fucking shaking your motherfucking boots. This is speaking truth. This is what Pose is," she said. She talked about the quality of the writing on the otherwise much beloved show. She suggested that the writer's room struggled in the first 2 eps because of male, presumably not trans, writers. Addressing producer Ryan Murphy directly to say, "You brought girls in to help you. Blah, 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 blah." She says, "Who brought these girls in?" She asked Murphy. "I wanted the girls to be there." Then she asked Angel Bismarck Curiel, who is Poppy, who is her boyfriend, to stand up right now. She said, "Let me tell you something about love. Today I was going to let Angel go. I was going to let you go, baby. Right? But what did I do? I fucked someone on the crew, right?" All right, so
hold on. Now, page 6.
So while you keep going, I'm gonna finish eating this piece of chicken.
Page 6 reports that an insider who worked closely with Mock speculated that the turmoil in her relationship may have caused her to become emotionally unhinged. Now, they said she seemed almost immediately remorseful at what she had aired publicly, the source surmised. The outlet further reported that Mock admitted she was afraid that the forthright speech might have ruined her career, though some in the room had her back, and one of them was Dominique Jackson. I feel bad for Janet because I feel like this was a a pressure cooker and she just had to release some of the steam. I feel bad for her that it happened in such a public arena. I feel bad for her that it is always going to be associated with her at this point forward because it wasn't a public arena. There was cameras and reporters and everybody else there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel bad for her because it is going to affect her career.
100%.
The question is, how is it going to affect her career? Is it going to affect her career in a negative light or in a positive light? And I more so think that it is going to affect her career in a negative light in the immediate future. In the long run, it may be somewhat okay for her, but it has definitely shook the foundation of where she is right now.
Well, it's a problem because now she's going to have this reputation as messy.
Absolutely.
All of those things that she said. Listen, I like Janet Mock just fine. I have nothing bad to say about her. But you're not on Ryan Murphy's level.
She's not.
And I don't mean in terms of talent.
No,
I'm just saying that this was not the right moment to have this conversation when y'all are supposed to be celebrating. And I mean, $40,000 an episode is, I get Ryan Murphy might be making $1 million or $2 million, but he came up with the idea. I don't know if he came up. No, because I think that other black gay
Stephen
guy.
Cannells.
But my point is that this was just not the right opportunity for that kind of airing out. And you are not yet that bitch where you can be calling people out like that in public. And it just felt unnecessary to me. Even if I'm not even disputing necessarily what she's saying as far as it needing to be a conversation, but it feels like by doing it and even so, what made the worst part about it was, even if you're going to take this moment to speak truth to power, the shit about her and Angel,
that definitely should have been
202-656-7636. Angel, call me. But that just felt really unnecessary out of anything. And to not only say that you've been fucking around, but with the crew, because then that's extra messy. That's extra messy because now you're bringing all of that foolishness into the workplace. Because that's now a potential, because you are listed as an executive producer, and that person, whoever it is that you slept with, can now potentially have some sort of a workers' comp, some sort of a hostile workplace claim, even if nothing actually happened. So you just exposed yourself and potentially this whole production to foolishness.
Yep.
So
a lot of it has to do with, again, whatever the pressures are that she was under at this particular point. And I get it. She is in a position where some people are viewing her as a trailblazer.
Yeah, she is.
And she is. And I get it that there's a lot of pressure that goes with that. But I just feel like, sis, this was not the best way to handle this, in my opinion. I'm not saying what you did was wrong, but it just wasn't the best way. Like it just wasn't.
Because it didn't feel, if she had given a speech, we'll get to that part in a moment.
Oh, well, yeah.
If she had given a speech and said, I, like many other women of color in a creative space, need to be paid more, and then said, I'm only making $40,000 an episode. That's a factual thing. To be like, hey, Ryan, why the fuck I only make $40,000? I mean, that feels like an attack, and you can't. respond to an attack like that. You can respond to facts and people. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't get your emotions out, but it just feels like this was the wrong time and the wrong way.
Everything about it was just wrong. And I feel so bad for her because as talented as she is as a writer, I think she was a journalist at first. As a matter of fact, like that's her first love. I think it was writing actually. Because I think she went to, did she go to Northwestern? But if I remember correctly, I think she was a journalist at first. Oh, she's written for like Vibe, and she's written for.
Done a lot of writing.
She's done a lot of writing and stuff. But I just, sis, oh my gosh. So if somebody knows her, Janet, if you want to come on the show and talk to us, I mean, we are.
This more so for her because she's going to be fine. If she's going to have other irons in the fire.
But yeah, you can still come on the show. We would love to have you on the show.
The lesson to be learned for other people is that there are times when you can speak truth to power. And this was a perfect time to speak truth to power. But I'm not trying to tone police her. But I'm saying that by all of that other stuff and you mixing in your infidelity, which, by the way, Eccentric noted that she had a husband.
Yep.
She cheated on her husband with Lil Poppy. And then now she's apparently cheated on her husband, Lil Poppy, with a crew member. So that also talks about, as we talked about this workplace, whatever, that talks about poor judgment and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, we're already in this Me Too thing. Right. And so then, now you have this trans woman of color who is doing the same shit potentially that other dudes
NYU.
do.
Okay, so got you. Thank you, Worthington. But I also have a question about that. Her husband, I didn't think they broke up because of Lil Poppy. I remember I thought they were broken up, and I thought she was single for a while. But I could be wrong. But I do remember that she did have a husband. So I don't know.
All right, we got 20 minutes to get into Pose.
So, but since we're on Pose and we go into drama, listen, let me just start this. I was so fucking happy to see that damn the lights and the dun 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 dun. I was so fucking happy. I was like, yes, it's coming back going. Yes, oh my God, it's here. Mm-hmm. Then they done fucked around up in Upper St. Marlboro in the motherfucking house and the filters in the air conditioning and shit. They done fucked it up because the shit was getting all in my eyes and shit, and it just like it was affecting
so fucking
how I was able to watch my show. It just bothered me for both episodes. I'm just saying. So I might be a little off. So I'm just saying. But can we just talk about? Yeah, listen. There were 2 episodes, and the show is back in. We are now in 1994. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, 1994. I was just graduating.
And you know what? Ryan Murphy need to leave OJ alone for OJ show up at his house in the middle of the night because he did that the trial of OJ Simpson and stuff. And can we just talk about that for 5 seconds?
I didn't watch that.
I was there.
I didn't watch it. Yeah, I was. So
I mean, we were all there.
Yeah, we were there.
But I don't remember nobody having a watch party. I mean,
it was breaking. I was
in
breaking
college.
News.
It was 1994. But I don't remember anyone like stopping what they were doing.
It was June.
It was definitely It was
June of 1990. It was right before my birthday. As a matter of fact, it was like the 9th, 10th, 11th, somewhere around that time.
So while we were all aware of the white Bronco chase, I don't know. At least none of my friends was like, let's all get together to watch this on TV. I mean,
it wasn't a watch party, but it was definitely news that people were watching.
Exactly,
they were watching it. And so watch parties, but they were definitely watching. And watching that white Bronco go up that highway, and it was like, what? Like, what's going on?
Maybe they did at Howard, but they did, at least I didn't at FAMU. Maybe some of the kids was doing that in the quad, but I was trying to get the fuck up out of there.
Listen, I was in Pittsburgh. I was at the motherfucking O. I was upstairs at the O trying to fuck up these French fries and these beer and this liquor. That's where I was at when they was watching on television. And I was like, listen, you are not gonna fuck up my birthday celebration. Because I remember that I was celebrating for that week. I think it's because I just found out I got my job and it was my birthday weekend. And so, yes, I remember where I was at that particular point in time.
Yes.
But it was a lot, but I liked how they kept us up to date.
Yeah. And
showed us how during the watch party, the conversations they were having about police brutality, Black men, Black people just in general, and the things that we go through, and some of the comments that Praytel made about, oh, he's that good Negro, and he's that, he's a different type of Black person, and all these different things. And so it was
and also we were in Tallahassee, Florida, so it might have been entirely different on the rest of the world, because we was in a bubble. But okay. So anyway, Elektra getting busted at the Hellfire Club. That was
she swung that ponytail around. She said, whew.
Alexa, cancel. I said Elektra.
You did, but it did sound like
she be listening.
She nosy. Hey,
she very alone. She very nosy.
Hey girl, how you doing?
And Blanca's new man.
Listen, who's the new man? He's from something. I don't know what he's from.
He's familiar to me too, but
I don't know what he was from, but he's from something. But listen, it's a good look. But the first man that she met up at the beach, that was a doctor. No, it's not the same dude, but that was a doctor though.
Right, but it's also been a couple of years, because that was in 91.
Yes, I'm not saying it's the same person.
3 years.
But she got this doctor thing going on. Like, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but is there a certain type of thing that you always get attracted to or gets attracted to you? Because for me, it's always sometimes a friggin' man of the cloth in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so I loved that. And I also loved how at the end of the episode he stood up for her, because I really thought, like everybody else said, I thought he was gonna kick her to the curb. I thought he was just having some fun. But when push came to shove, his parents was gonna put down the hammer and he was gonna do it. But he really did.
But I kind of felt like it was very fairy tale-ish. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, there's really only one of two reactions. It was either he was going to stand up to his parents or he was going to cave.
Yeah, listen, I'm happy that Blanca got her man stood up next to her.
Yes.
I'm happy. But it seemed kind of fairy tale-ish to me. I don't know why.
Sometimes fairy tales do come true.
I guess. But listen, come see me and I'll get those cuticles right together.
Oh, that was so shady.
The shade was so thick between Blanca and Chris's mother. Yes. It was so thick. I was like, oh my God. Oh God.
So remember, when they there was a scene where Ricky was wearing some blue striped shorts. They called it Operation Get Prey Off That Brown Liquor.
Oh yeah.
I literally had those blue shorts. I was like, y'all went to Jeans West and got
Was it Jeans West or was it Merry-Go-Round?
Same difference.
Baby. Oh.
Same fucking difference.
Oh.
Same motherfucking difference. But yes, because our fraternity's colors are maroon and navy or red and blue. So we all got these shorts, and because they had them, and they were super long. They came down to like 2 inches. They were shorts, but they came down to Chess King. All the same.
Come on, Chess King.
Chess King.
What was the one here in Cavalier?
Cavalier, yeah, Cavalier menswear. But the shorts were like
check in Cavalier.
See, they were super long, and they had a bunch of them. So there are pictures out there of me and 16 of my closest friends at the time, all in these red and blue. Some of them were red and white stripes. Some of them were blue and white stripes. I was like, oh my God, they must be like in some clothing supply closet like that. I loved how who was that he called, like looking like some washerwoman?
Who are we talking about?
When they were on Operation Get Praytel Off That Brown Liquor.
Okay.
That was what Elektra called Big T's.
Lulu.
You're looking like some washerwoman.
Listen, Lulu on that crack. Her
and it's so
oh my God.
They were like, you think anybody noticed that we high? Bitch.
That's probably how they sounded in their head.
What? Huh?
All that echoing and shit.
Put over there. Can't nobody see us. You know, Poppy will kill me if you find that. Oh my God. What you do?
Oh my God.
I can't handle that crack.
Oh my God. That's probably how they sounded in their head. And it was amazing. I was like, y'all are hilarious.
Yes.
They were both trying to hide it. And listen, God rest her soul. One of my good friends, y'all have heard me talk about her before, Naima. Naima she was hilarious, but Naima, her, and she would tell you in a heartbeat, her drug of choice was heroin, and baby, that heroin took the best of her and left her with nothing. But to see her on a binge, oh my God.
Yeah.
Did
you also see Wade Jensen Atwood as a swole bartender? That was the bartender in the club that gave Pray Tell's friend the drinks. That was Wade from Noah's Ark.
Wait, stop. Let's go back and talk about Swole. Black Lady Sketch Show. That was Laz Alonso in the court.
Who the fuck is Laz Alonso?
From This Christmas, where Regina King beat her husband with the baby oil when he got out the shower and she threw the baby oil on the floor and
Wait a minute, that was him?
That was Laz Alonso in the court. Yes, that was Laz Alonso.
Yes.
He was swole. And I was like,
yes.
Hey, swole. But I didn't even notice that.
Well, Eccentric says it wasn't, but it looked like him. So I have it on record, so we'll have to go back.
But that was Laz Alonso in the Black Lady Sketch Show, because that thing looked swole. And I was like, hey, Laz, you look a little like a snack with like a little extra bread and dough.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Baby, that scene with Cubby, all those scenes with Cubby in the hospital sent me through it. I have I know some people who said that they had to stop watching because they lived through that time. And I mean, we all lived through it, but I don't know about you, but that certainly wasn't my reality at all. I'm sure I probably knew people who were HIV positive, but it certainly wasn't something we talked about. And so I didn't know anybody at that point who had died of AIDS or who was fighting HIV or anything in 1994. So it wasn't my direct experience.
Yeah.
And this person was like, no, I just like Pray Tell watched hundreds of my friends die and went to so many funerals. So he was like, I just can't watch this anymore.
I was having this same conversation with my coworker, and literally he was like, this is exactly what it was like. He was like, and he's 10 years older than me. So it was like, I get it. You were in the, like, you were in the prime of like, you know, your gayness and your youth, if you will, as far as like,
yeah,
gays
we were in
concerned.
in 1994, we were 23.
We were 20. Yeah. So they were 33,
35. So,
and so they're in there, they're living their best gay life. And I get it. But I watched two people, and Naima was one of them. And my other friend Keith, I didn't watch him because he moved away, but I heard it all in his voice, and I know him so well and I could hear him when he was talking to me, and I just imagined what he looked like. And there's several people that I actually know that when I saw them before they passed, it was like night and day, and it's just really sad. But that the whole point of like, when Blanca said, he said, how do I look? She said, is I still look good? She said, beyond beautiful.
Yeah.
And then he said, give me some
caps. And I didn't even realize at first that he was blind.
Yes. And he was still looking in that mirror like, I still look good.
That was what took me out when he held up the mirror.
Said, oh my God.
Everybody knew that he was blind. And I was just like,
I said, oh my God.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The air filters.
HEPA filter in this motherfucker.
Oh, the air filters in my house, they got to me. And then when his mother walked in and he said, Mommy.
Yes. And I felt bad for his mother, but you know, I'm also a little bit vindictive. And so like part of me was like, bitch, this is your fault. Cause for the love of a mother, this might not have been the path that he goes down, because I'm not, listen, there is sexual freedom. Absolutely. That is a lot. But a lot of times the kids will substitute sex for the love that they never got from their mother and or their father.
Yep.
And, when it gets to the point of being kicked out of the house and all of that, and so you turn to the first things that show you any kind of love. Absolutely. And, you get your dick wet while you're doing it. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that. Let's see. Baby, I would have beat the shit out of Lamar. Not the fight, but when he just showed up sashaying in there like it was,
So And then he was like, "Why didn't you tell me that he was sick? Why didn't you tell me he was
fuck?
Well, bitch, if you'd have come around, you'd have seen that." But he would have got popped. He would have, and so yeah, we're gonna come back. But yeah, I'd listen.
Tapped that ass.
Oh my goodness! And then when he had to, I felt bad for him because he lost out. Still,
I know what he was going. I know what he's doing. He
had a lot of regret.
He didn't want to.
He probably didn't want to face it. That's probably
because he might be HIV positive, or he know a ton of people, and he's also young. I mean, pray tell, when you get to a certain age, you start. Pray tell, first of all, pray tell is 50-ish, and he had been watching people die.
Yeah.
So he's got like a way of dealing with it in a way that someone who is in their early 20s doesn't, because they just haven't watched all of their friends die the way that Pray Tell and Blanca has. It still kills me that they keep trying to act like Blanca is this clockable dude in a dress. I was like,
well, that's how she's written.
That's how she's written. I know that's what I'm saying. It was like, that is not how she looks at all.
But
she still ain't moved out of that house. She still ain't cleaned the walls.
Listen,
girl, I'm just like, you put some spick and span in a bucket. I don't know what I'm saying.
But Lamar's
and
house,
some paint.
Lamar and the House of Khan, baby, the kikis that I had watching them fight in that restaurant.
Yes.
Listen, anybody from the ballroom scene, I
was like, that's not a fight. They're having a food fight. I want to see a fight.
But I think they probably didn't do it that way because they probably didn't want to make it controversial.
Yeah.
But baby, the Khans will whoop ass and take names later. And baby, it was, listen, on the ballroom scene, half the fights that I've seen, there were several people that were involved, but the Khans were known to jump in and whoop a bitch's ass.
Mm-hmm.
So but listen, it's funny how they brought them up and how they founded them. And then there was a reference to, because Luna is a Khan as well. And Luna was up in New York City, and Luna became the father up in New York City, but Luna was completely different than the rest of the Khans. Like they were like all about business and ready to fight, but Luna was very much of like, nope, let's just keep this professional. Let's just keep it. So I like what they did with that. I like how they brought that up, but that was hilarious though.
So, all right. So now I was sad to see that, Damon is, falling. I didn't know he had a wagon to fall off of because that just happened.
So I read
that happened between the second and third season. And apparently he was back on the wagon because for a minute he was trying to get Pray Tell to do the 12 steps. But then by the time they had the big blowout, he'd already moved back to his cousins in Memphis.
I read something about this article where Ryan Murphy said something about the actor Jamal Swain or whatever his name is, had a death in his family and literally went to go deal with that. And so
is he going to be back?
The way he wrote it was so that he could have time to grieve with his family. I don't know if they said that he's going to come back or not.
I mean,
I would love to see him come back at some particular point,
right?
As it show back up, maybe, but I don't know.
That would be good.
But
all right. So now we got to get into these reads, baby. So they decide to have an intervention. So they go and they win all of these balls. Let's just be clear. Pray Tell did not win that lip sync. He did not.
Wait, stop.
Win
before we even go anywhere, let's stop. The way they cut up my girl's song, they cut If up so bad. I was like,
I mean, you can't have a whole fucking song because we can't spend.
I couldn't even. But okay. But anyway, if they had showed Pray Tell marching in those heels, like if they panned the camera down, you would have seen his footwork. That would have at least got you something to say.
Because his look, nothing about that lip sync was worth 10s across the board at all.
No.
Right. So, Father, Lamar's lip sync was cute. I mean, I thought they were both cute. I was kind of interested when that was what she called Lulu a washerwoman because she was going to do Toni Braxton.
That fucking squeezer. Oh my God. It was like, oh my God.
So anyway, they all win this money because the prize is $500 per category. And
Miss Electra tried to get the girls together so they can all come out and walk these balls and get this money to help Pray Tell, because they feel like they're going to have this intervention and pay for this rehab in, was it upstate New York somewhere? But wherever it is, it's expensive.
And so they get there, and so they've had like a counselor come and talk to them about what they should say. And so now it is time for another episode of Master Queer Theater.
Master Queer Theater?
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Master Queer Theater.
So you can start right there where it says "Pray tell," and you'll have to remember some of the words because this is an inaccurate translation.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna send an ultimatum on our relationship? Were we easy? Where are you going? To find Damon? I know you've been looking to bump up and down on that day, but nobody wants to fuck somebody who's too old to be a twink, but still to be difficult. Please stop. If I wanted advice from a crackhead, I would go out on the street and ask for it. Okay, all right, fine.
All right, so if you won't take advice from the youngins, you could take it from me. I understand that you are a traumatized person because of how poorly your life has turned out, and that part of being and that pain of being a disappointment to the world has made you a psychological mess.
You, of all people, want to talk about somebody being a psychologically distorted because you're a short-tempered, insecure narcissist?
A narcissist whose skin glows, bitch.
Who suffers from the most severe delusions of grandeur. Denial. No aging granny with dusty furs and an empty bed. Yeah, this is a mistake. No shit.
Bitch, I will cut you.
Just because you let these dimwits work out their mommy issues on you does not make you a selfless person. The only reason why you keep these children around is to distract you from your own fat ass legs. Oh, I know you got it now, but let's be clear. He's only keeping you around because you're an HIV charity case. Jonas bumped up on the bank. What the fuck do you know? The truth hurts, little man. And why don't you go out and get yourself a real job instead of riding the coattails of your crackhead fiance? You keep in mind, I'm not going to rehab. Maybe I do drink too much. Maybe y'all need to make sure that you get your shit together before you ever come trying to take my inventory.
And see.
This was
Master Queer Theater. Thank you. Baby, that whole read.
Okay, I'm hooked now.
Yeah, definitely. That whole thing was vicious and hateful.
And everything.
And it's the kind of shit that you say, you know how you be like, I'm gonna be nice, I'm gonna just leave you girls alone. And the girls keep pushing you, and they keep pushing you, and they keep pushing you. You fat bitch. No one likes you. That reminds me of this time we're in college. One of our friends, one of our friend group that no one liked. She kept saying shit, and everybody sort of let it slide. And then one day we all got real drunk. And her name was, let's say it was
Leotha.
Nina.
Okay.
Leah was like, bitch, why are you here? No one in this group likes you. She stopped coming around after that. But anyway, all right, so we're running out of time. So thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. And, just watch us for a few moments while we give you some information about the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Eccentric says Electra lost the best read of the show after that. I think so. I think so.
She lost the best read. House and Ever. The best part for me was when motherfucking Pray Tell knocked the shit
out of Lamar. Yes.
Don't listen.
It would have been more impactful if it had been like a backhand.
It would have been, but I'm all right with that because listen, I think sometimes the girls keep forgetting that these older gay men are fucking still men, and they will box you like the piece of trade that you thought that you were. But
yes,
I digress.
So we'll be back at our normal time next week. And tomorrow we will be live from a soon to be disclosed lower middle class location.
Yeah, which is soon to be our favorite. And we're sponsored by, just don't forget that we are sponsored by Specific Beauty. Specific Beauty is not a sponsor of the BGKH Show, just so you all know. And we're not going to be held accountable. All.
They don't know that we
trying to bring up a lawsuit against us because we are not sponsored by Specific Beauty, just so you know.
Exactly. And with that, we will say thank you all for coming out. God bless you and good night. Mwah.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Farewell.
Good night.